Welcome along to part 2 of our tutorial on how to use views and masks in GameMaker Studio. In the first part of the series we brought in all the objects, sprites and sounds that we needed to make our game. In this video we are going to code those objects up to make our game work. So let's begin by opening up Object Girl Left. Okay, we're going to start to make her move. We're going to begin today by adding in a step event. We want to make this girl be able to jump. Okay, so inside the step event, I'm going to go to the Control tab and choose the Check Empty option there. We're just going to check that Y equals 1 and choose the relative box. So we're looking above our heads. We're going to go to the Move tab next and set the gravity to 270 for the direction and 0.5 for the gravity. It's going to make our girl jump. And in the Control tab, we're going to select the Else button and then go back to the Move tab and select the blue arrows again to set the gravity. The direction will be 270 and the gravity will be 0. After that, back to the Control tab and we're going to test a variable, so choose the middle VAR option here. We're going to test it V speed, the value of 12 and then greater than, so you need to see V speed has a value greater than 12. If it does, then we're going to set the vertical speed, which is this red arrow here, back to 12. Click OK. That's the first part of the code we need. The second thing we're going to do is put in the keyboard event for the up key. This will just finish off our code to make her jump. Okay, so when we press the up key, two things we want to do. Control tab first, we just check for an object. So let's hit that blue ball. The object we're looking for is the wall, and we're looking at Y for equaling 1 and checking the relative box. Click OK. Now I'm going to go up to the Move tab and select this chunky red arrow again and choose -10 for setting your vertical speed. We'll click OK. So we should have a girl that jumps around the page now. Next event we're going to add in is the left key. We want this girl to move to the left. So in the keyboard event, choose left. We're going to go to the Control tab and just check to our left to make sure there's nothing there. Make sure you check relative and put -4 for X. Click OK, and then we're going to jump to a position if there's nothing there, so choose that jump to position option. Same values, so X equals -4 and relative will be checked. Click OK. Now when we press the keyboard to move to the right, we're not actually going to tell it to move to the right, we're simply going to go to the main 1 tab, hit the blue and red ball here and tell our Object Girl Left to turn into the object right. So it's the girl that's facing to the right. And choose yes to perform those events. Alrighty, so that should have all the things we need to make our girl move around the page. So left, right, up and down. And up. She doesn't need to move down. Gravity pulls her to the ground anyway. We're going to add in another event now. This time it's a collision with the wall. We don't want that girl to fall straight through the wall or be able to run through it, so we need to put in some code there. So I'm going to go to the Move tab first and choose this red arrow pointing to the blue block, which is the Move to Contact action. What we want to do is write the word direction. In direction, the maximum will be 12 and against solid objects. Then we're going to set the vertical speed to 0. We'll click on OK. Another collision event this girl's going to have is when she hits the finish line. So if we add an event and a collision with the finish line, we're going to go to the main 1 tab first of all and play a sound of success to show that we've done something good. We've actually finished the level. Loop will be set to false. We'll go to the main 2 tab and display a message just saying you win. And then after that we'll hit this red button here and end the game. The next one we're going to put in is a collision with the ghost. We've got just the one bad guy flying around our game, so when we hit the ghost we want to play a sound, which is sound die. Loop again will be set to false, and then we're simply going to restart the room. Okay, that'll take us back to the start of the level and we can have another crack at finishing. They are all the bits and pieces we need on Object Girl Left. Okay, I could do pretty much all the same on Object Girl Right, but to save a bit of time, what I'm actually going to do is delete Object Girl Right. So I'm going to right click on her from my folder and delete her. Just say yes to that. And what we're going to do instead is duplicate object left there, and we'll rename it to object right. Okay, the sprite we're just going to change to object right. So the step event's the same, hitting the finish line's the same, hitting the ghost is the same, hitting the wall's the same. Pressing the left key we're going to change. Okay, so delete the actions that are already in there. What we're going to do when we've got the right girl moving and we press the left keyboard key, we're going to need to go to the main one tab and change her into the girl that faces to the left. And yes, perform those events. Okay, so that's our left keyboard event. The up key is the same, and when we press the right key we're just going to delete what's there, and we're going to need to tell our game that we want to move this girl to the right. So we go to the control tab first and we check to the right, so x will equal 4, and make sure it's relative so it looks from her current position. If the position is collision free, then we're going to jump to that position, which is basically 4 places to the right and relative to where we are now. So it's a speed of 4 that will move to the right. Now we'll click OK on that. There was just one thing we have to fix up now in object girl left. When I deleted object right before, it was this one here, the right key. We just need to change it back to object right and say yes. Alrighty, so I think we're all good now. So I'll click OK there. We want to be able to collect the diamonds, so we might put that in next. So open up object diamond. We need a collision event, object left, and a collision with object right. It's going to be the same code for both of these, so we can copy and paste it from one to the other. First thing we want to do when we hit the diamond, we want to play a sound. The loop will be false. Usually you give yourself some points here, but we're not worrying about a scoreboard in this game. What we are going to do is destroy the instance though of the diamond, so the diamond disappears when we collect it. And that's all we need there, so I'm going to highlight those and copy them. Go to my collision between the diamond and the object right girl now and paste them in. So both of those events have the same actions. Click on OK. Next one is object ghost. We need to get them moving by themselves, so add in a create event. So as soon as they're created, we'll tell them to move left and right at a speed of 4, so the same speed as us. Now the other thing we want to do is when the ghosts have a collision with the wall, we simply want them to reverse their horizontal direction, so they turn around and go back the other way. So that's looking good. If we press OK and run our game, just want to make sure that everything's working. Now, because this is the first time I've compiled this game, it may take a little while, so just bear with me while this game compiles. You'll also notice that the level is really big. Okay, you can see it's a lot wider than usual because we've doubled our size. Okay, everything's looking good, but that object right girl there has disappeared. I'll just have to put her back in, but it seems like everything's working like it should. So I'll just quickly go back to level 1, and in my objects tab I'll put that object right girl back in the game. Alright, so the last thing I'm going to do is start working with views. When we look at level 1, it's a massive level. Okay, what we want to do is try to limit how much our player sees when they're playing the game. We want to just show a portion of the level, and then we'll have the camera follow the player around the level. We don't want them to see what's ahead of them too far into the game or what's above them. Okay, it'll just add to the suspense and the excitement of our game. Alright, so to work with views, you're going to need to open up level 1. Don't know why I just closed that, but anyway, open level 1. Go up to your Views tab at the top here, and you want to check the box that says Enable the use of views. Once you've checked that box, come down a little bit lower and you'll see Visible when room starts. I want you to check that box as well. Next of all, we're going to go to the view in the room. We want to tell the computer how much of the room we want to actually view. So what I'm going to do is do a width 480 pixels and a height of 352 pixels. And I'm going to copy those dimensions down into the port on screen as well. So 480 and 352. Just make them exactly the same. Now you can adjust that setting if you'd like. It's up to you. Okay, but just work with those numbers for now. and we can play around with it a bit later on. Now a bit further down it says, what object would you like the camera to follow? At the moment it's not following any object. So our view, it's a little bit hard to see, but it is looking at the top of the page at the moment. It's not even looking at our object girl down here. So we need to tell the camera to move down and follow object right. Okay, and the last thing we're going to do, actually I might just leave it at that for a sec. We're just going to test it, and I'm going to show you what these bottom numbers do in just a moment. So when we load our game now, we should have a level that's a lot smaller than it previously was. It should be about 480 width and 352 pixels height. Okay, so as I move around the room, the camera should follow us. There will be a bit of an issue though. Okay, I have to actually hit the edge of the page before the camera pans across. So let's fix that. Back in the level 1, here we're going to go to the View tab, and from the View tab just scroll down to these bottom numbers we were looking at just before. You want to change the 32s there to 300s. Oops. Right, that's all we need to change. So basically that's going to look 300 pixels in advance and start moving the camera a bit earlier, so our girl doesn't have to hit the edge of the page before the camera moves. So if we just run that game again and have a look at how that affects our game, you can see what I mean. Alright, so as I move to the right this time, you should see the camera move a lot earlier. Okay, and I think that's a pretty good size. You can adjust those settings from 300 if you want to make it move even earlier. By all means go for it. And there we are at the end of the game. Now we have a bit of an issue. If I was to go back the other way with the left girl, the camera's no longer going to follow her. We've told the camera to follow object right girl, which it does, but it doesn't follow it when she's going back to the left. So there lies our issue. And what we have to do is make a mask to fix this problem. So to make a mask, we're just going to make a new sprite up here called SPR_mask. And we're going to edit sprite to make our own sprite here, and hit the new piece of paper at the top. Should be 32 by 32, and if you want you can double click on it and just fill it in with any old colour. I'm just going to choose red. Basically that's our mask. It's not going to appear in the game, but it's going to be used to make the camera follow us, as you'll see in just a moment. Once you've created that sprite, turn it into an object for me, so obj_mask, make it red, click OK. Now what we need to do is go to our object girls. So we start with object left, and about halfway down the left hand side here you'll see the words parent and mask. For the parent you want to choose object mask, and for the mask choose sprite mask and click OK. Do the same for object right. So parent and the mask, change it to object mask and sprite mask. Okay, and what that's going to do is basically put this mask over the top of our girls, but they're going to be invisible. What we're going to do now in the level 1 views tab here, instead of having the camera follow object girl right, we're going to have it follow the mask instead. So that mask is sitting over the top of our right girl and our left girl. It's like an invisible square. So what the camera's going to do is just follow that invisible square which sits on top of our girl. So when we run our game now, we should have a working game. Fingers crossed that view works correctly. Alright, here we go. So we can move to the right. I'll just move that mouse. We can move to the right, no worries. The camera seems to pan along with it. And when we go back to the left, the camera is now following the girl to the left. Okay, there is a red mask on top of that girl, but because it's a mask, it's invisible and you can't see it. So that helps our game run perfectly smooth. Okay, so I'll close that off now, close that off, and save my game. Remember when you're done, also, if you'd like to take it home and play it, create application. Okay, so I'll just save that somewhere and hit save. That'll compile down there. Once it's finished compiling, your game's all good to go. Alright, good luck with that.